is a timer you hold it in. Alright. Good. Every day, hell, even here at this debate tournament, each one of us engages in a genocide against a non-human animal. Every year, billions are slaughtered, captured, detained, tortured. We kill them, and we don't care about a single one of them. This violence is rendered invisible by a normative understanding of what violence is, making their slaughter legitimate to human animals. This is Kochi 9. Violence is the foundation of law. We're surrounded by enterprise killing rails about anything. The third right was capable of killing our animals and involved in anything. Ours is without it. To claim that there's no comparison that Treblinka was to dedicate to the death within the meat industry, devoted to life is a little consolidate as to excuse killers because body fat was needed to make soap. When most of us think about how the war is, seldom think about the non-human animal. White folks to rethink the foundations of law, be drawing some status of animal slaughter or illegal category. Surely keeping the cattle behind the barb fences and butchering them. Does that not count as war? Why is not? Why can't we see? What can be seen at stake is concerned with the way we order legitimizing killing. The relationship between violence and legitimacy is the non-human animals are considered without soul. Without value, the Western tradition of the killing of animals not war because violence against animals is within the framework of legitimate killing. The hierarchy of values back because notions of animal dignity to stand at the periphery. And they've killed my child. They've killed my child. This is the sound that echoes on not just on the slave ship, but in every factory farm in the world. Cows went into farms, cows, and they came out as meat. This is the worst ontological violence that has been committed against non-humans in history. And Europeans took their concepts of commodification and ontological destruction against the animal with them to Africa, and the atrocities the 1AC ensued as a result. They removed the proximal cause of ontological destruction, but the original cause, the root cause of the slave ship was the farming and the slaughter of animals carried out by Europeans. It's what created and is now legitimizing this, the system of the slave ship. As long as farms exist, new slave ship will be burnt. Doesn't matter how many we burn down. They say you don't see a lot of blacks here. Yeah, we don't see many animals either, but the only ones that we do see are in Zaxby's boxes. Uniquely, their anti-racist theories have historically been anthropocentric, inscribing that hierarchy by democrating all humans and human beings and all non-human animals as lower beings. This is Caroline's 94. Oppression cannot be dehumanized. Animals are not acknowledged for having human qualities, and it cannot be denied. Resistance and suppression for human involves recognizing and preserving their humanity, just as white Americans knew they would be free in the presence of enslaved acts. Enslaved blacks oppressed humans affirm their humanity by proclaiming their distance from the animals whom they compare to but are never truly are. The protests erupt for struggling against oppression, the assertion that we are humans, not animals. This is not surprising. This is an assertion upon which the feminists early take their appeal for the rights of freedom. Racist and sexist attitudes expose the elastic species definition and advantages of elite white males by positioning others as almost abuse. While anti-racist and anti-sex theory also conclusively accept the inescapability of anthropocentricity of the human-animal divide that is a result of the fixed species definition that demarcates all humans and human beings. The position of all other animals is animals, the will oppositional movements, and ensure that these adjectives always apply only animals, thus inscribe the hierarchy that positions animals as lower. Thus, Natalie and I advocate that we should embrace the ethic of care, an ethic of care. Our current institutions use epistemologically flawed ethical paradigms. Deontology and utilitarianism ultimately undermine contextualized and empathetic response to universalized calculated abstraction, and ethical care is necessary to restoring this response. Donovan 6. Rooted in enlightened internationalism, global theory, the utilitarianism, crippling reason, or mathematical calculation, epistemological abstraction, universally pretenses, aligned with particular substantive ethical event, as the context and political contingencies, rights theory tend to be individuals autonomous, isolates, and neglecting their social relationship or pursues a society of rational equals that ignores power differentials, rights and utilitarianism, dispenses sympathy and empathy and compassion, develop ethical epistemological sources for human treatment and non-human animals, care theory attempted to restore these emotional responses, the knowledge and the authentic bliss of knowledge, implicit in care theories and ideological and ethical reasoning, whereas human speech to animal communication, constructing animal and human conversation with the animal rather than imposing on them rationalistic calculated grid of humans' own monologue of construction, and our method of ethics is best only by listening to listening to the animal voice and introducing an empathetic intelligence into politics traits of decision making with care. Donovan Mackey, the theorists point out a new mode of relationship, unlike the subject audit. The scientific epistemology would recognize the varieties of differences made beyond species, did not quantify or rank them hierarchically on a great chain of being, respects the aliveness and understands that to be existence the same, such as the relationship involves always respect, either or think that is rejected by the epistemology and is either a dilemma in real life can be turned into both ands, and is possible indeed necessary for the grounded ethic and emotional conversation with non-human life forms. We should not kill, eat, torture, exploit animals because they don't want to be so treated, and we know that. If you listen closely, we can hear them. And care must be our starting point for our ethical politics. In order to resolve the problematic dichotomies, we need to experience the consequences of our actions and engage in dialogue. This is Neil, 85. We cannot begin to talk about ethics unless we admit that we care. The emphasis on the feeling and the emotion cannot apply to the exclusion of reason rather than from a unity of reason and emotion and vision. Contrast with the thought and emotion to miss one of its crucial features. Feelings must be effective to take shape this thought, and thoughts must be effective and empowered by suitable feelings. How can we obtain the unified sensibility? Difficulty lies in conceiving something as alien to our conception of hierarchies. And emotion divides the same reason why we divorce us from the immediate impact of decisions. Is it experienced directly the full impact of moral decisions? We think there's nothing wrong with eating meat, and we ought to visit a factory farm. Still seems we feel the same way when we are physically moved by the direct impact of our decisions. We deprive ourselves from sensory stimuli and point in our ethical choices. Unified sensibility cannot be developed. The abstraction of rational plane that would must flow from the development in the world and the actions we bring about it. We may never be able to fully experience the impact. We can thus attempt to depart as far as possible. What does this not mean? Writers must time.
That's fine.
Mark the card there. That was the end of the card, anyways.
It's Mark.
It was. Care must, and this is also a epistemological question that comes prior. This is Adams 94 as a basis for ethical judgment for action. Sympathy should involve not projecting oneself on another situation, but rather figuring out how another is feeling. I have imagined for how another feels. The shallower elevates the sympathy from form of knowledge. The epistemological alternative, the objectification of Cartesian scientific model, the understanding the fellow feeling are able to range throughout the entire animal universe. The mortals here in the bird and sling. The portion moves on intelligence to us and awakening our own fellow feeling. Humans need to develop and redevelop sympathetic intellectual capacities. We can understand experience of animals by attending their behavioral and expressional cycles. We have to universalize grammar valid for language of expression. Humans must develop synthetic understandings of cognitive model, decipher one's own language that is translated to multiple objects, and human use see sympathy as an investigatory tool for forms of knowledge. Such knowledge must be the basis of our ethic, such as a process is what the others learns what their reality really is, and developing an ethical response. One can have no morality, no justice without first having sympathy. Sympathy is required to even notice somebody else in the need of help. Without the attention, there would be no morality. Sympathy is based on the quantum of ethical decision making and action. Sympathy precedes justice. On to. I need to read this last one.
Yeah.
Our listening to animal voices allows for a politics of performative resistance to domination. Mallory 2009 is not only the human body that's capable of resistance, although altering the performance of nature is past due agency. The politics of performativity, affinity can help to emancipate both humans and more than the human world. Such actions open spaces for self-alternative voices to be heard by considering the liberatory political possibilities of viewing species identity performatively. That's something that creatures does rather than is. As the politics of performative affinity can discussing material help to emancipate both humans and the more than human world. There is no formal logic, limit, or end to the list of beings, bodies oppressed with patriarchal and anthropocentric, racist, heterosexist, material discursive systems, and very inability to close the boundary around who or what is linked, thus must be liberated through the identical process of what provides feminist politics with the best possibilities. And
the binary argument by yourself.
All right.
Like you're a minority.
Focus on the unique nature of the black experience, marginalizes other minority groups, and reifies black-white binary. Their discursive approach shapes the scholarship and practice. I am Hispanic. I don't see. There's no reason why the slave ship would be burning down. The slave ship would be able to break down other kind of racial dichotomies that currently exist. It's just as long as other racial dichotomies still exist, like that between the white and the Mexican, that just allows for new slave ships to be created because they are internal links in and of to each other. And yeah.
Does a slave ship exist? Does a slave ship exist?
I suppose it does in some way.
Okay.
That's probably up for debate.
Yeah. Why is it up for debate?
I mean,
it's not necessarily the existence of what you're talking about. We're saying, like, I guess it's up for debate. Like, if we're, it depends.
Okay, so it's up for debate.
No. Like, what we're we're talking about. Like, if we're talking about a physical ship, then like,
Alright,
it's probably
that's
gonna-
cool.
But your idea, your
so,
idea is,
yeah,
your idea is
so
probably
I got
animals.
another question.
How did you get that video? How did you get that video?
We found it. Like, I don't understand.
Alright,
How do we?
I'm just asking, where did you get it?
We're part of a vegan meetup group at
Okay.
Birmingham.
How were you able to calculate the number of animal deaths that happened throughout the year? Where did that information come from?
Well, I guess you can just look at the number of people that eat animals, how many they eat a day, and then, I don't know, a year is 365
What?
days.
All right, quick question.
Uh,
What shapes and ethics of care? Like, where does those ethics of care come from, and what shapes what it is that we care about?
Where does it come from? Like, how we care?
Like, what? No, when you say we need to have an ethics of care, you want an ethics of care. What does that do, and where do
I
those
guess it
ethics come
comes.
from?
I guess it comes from our response to dialogue between non-human animals.
Hold on. So your ethics comes from the response, the what now?
Our response to the dialogue of
Our
non-human
children
animals.
indicates that we can't have our ethic until
Yeah,
we like
let's-
see the implications of our actions. That's what we brought to
So,
the space.
well, okay, so yeah, let's talk about your kid. What does that have to do with NICS? Like, what part of your evidence has anything that brings in a discussion or revolves around the position of a NIC?
Well, I guess I did explain quite well, I thought, how European took their concepts of commodification and ontological destruction, things like this slave ship, from Europe, from their practices on
Now-
farming and
Now the
slaughtering,
one in
took it to
the
Africa,
one in
took
C,
it to
hold on, the one in,
America.
I got another question. The one in C says that one in C talks about the slave ship as a farm, right? It talks about the slave ship as a farm, right? The violence of the slave ship. Okay.
He's saying, are we?
No, I can
go ahead, go.
So I had to look at that. Okay, so why is a NIC human? What makes a Liga human?
I guess I can't answer that question personally.
Okay. So, well, okay, let's go to this black-white binary stuff. So Miguel here is also of Hispanic Puerto Rican descent. He's a nigga. Why can't you be a nigga? What is the distinction? What is this black-white? How do you generate all
You
of
I
said
this?
the word the black body so many times.
All right, so it's a question
Let's specifically talk about the literal black body.
I guess rhetorically I feel excluded, maybe, but
Rhetorically, you
Well,
feel
even if it's
excluded by
just
the
a
NICs.
discourse
Okay.
argument, then we're
like,
critiquing your
I
discourse.
am not
because we're black.
perceived of being a part of the burning of the ships, I guess, is my problem.
All right, so you just didn't see yourself in there. All right.
No, it's your discourse.
So as soon as we all right, that's cool.
It was less of I didn't see myself in it,
Okay.
more I didn't
Alright.
see my inclusion.
I have another question about some of this. At 4 seconds. You can take prep for this if you want.
Yeah, I'll take prep for this. How do we listen to animals?
Well, the video was good in showing that while they don't speak English, let's say, they do have methods of communication, things like body language, things like phenomenological studies can show that we can tell, for example, that animal did not want to be killed.
And so,
And
so your ethics is shaped purely off them not wanting to be killed.
No, it's.
Well, yeah, it's we shouldn't
Our
kill,
evidence
exploit.
indicates that there's a.
So, hold on, so your ethics-
language, and we can
Right, so I just want to get this clear.
We
Ethics, so
should-
your ethics is based off of communication between non-human animals and human animals.
And then the
response
response
to
to that.
The human, okay, right.
Not
the human
So, like,
response.
don't
Not
kill,
an
exploit,
animal
eat
response.
animals because they do not want.
And then last
that to be
question.
done to them. And we-
What does it mean to be human?
What does it mean to be human?
Yes.
We're gonna say
I
this
guess
is
our-
like
we
really-
don't-
Alright, no, it's just cool.
I can answer your question.
I guess we
No,
never.
I know, but it's
we
prep
never,
time, so I want to carry it back to the prep time.
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
I'll just say something real quick. We don't define.
Well, no, I mean,
human- we define human animal.
I kind of want to prep though. I want to prep.
Okay, that's fine. Do you want to spend 5 seconds about